Adrenaline's rushing. Everything's going crazy. Get the fuck up! And then all of a sudden, he busts through with the gun. Get up! As soon as they saw the gun, you could see and feel their fear, and they just started to get up. And then we just started taking them, tossing them into the room. The one kid didn't want to get up, and I remember picking him up and looking him in the eyes, and he looked me dead in the eye. He knew it was me.
Nick Marshall had a good upbringing in New Jersey, but chasing street status led him into a double life. By high school, he was selling drugs, doing drugs, and climbing fast in the game. Then he started robbing his own suppliers. Just when he tried to walk away, one last job pulled him back in, and it cost him everything. At 20 years old, Nick was busted and sentenced to 3 years in prison. But he didn't stay down. Today, he's found a second shot at success in New York's nightlife industry. This is the story of how fast it can rise and how hard it can fall. Nick, welcome to Locked In, man. Thanks so much for coming up from New York City to be here today.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me, genuinely. It's pretty cool.
It's a pleasure, and I want to promote your book at the top of this episode if you want to just tell the audience the elevator pitch behind this.
All right, so the book is called Try Again, An Ex-Convict's Path from Prison to Prosperity. Prosperity I would love to have put in quotes because I'm still not as prosperous as one would like, but it's definitely gotten a lot better. And I wrote a memoir about my struggles and what I went through in getting to prison. My agent was able to sell, quote unquote, sell that. When I got on the call, they loved it. And they said, but we can't publish it. It's too much crime, violence, drugs. I was like, well, what am I here for? And they said, we want you to write a self-help book. And I said, whoa. I need help. I can't help other people. I mean, what is this? And they're like, no, we believe in your story and what you've done with your life since. And I got off the line and my agent said, this is Simon & Schuster, an imprint of them. This is it, buddy. You either do it or we're done. And I was like, all right, give me a day. And after a day, I decided, I looked over the past 20 years of my life and the struggles I had been through, up, down, baseline, so on and so forth. And I said, I think there's a story here that may inspire people because it's based on hard work and never giving up, no matter how much adversity is standing in front of you. So I wrote it, and it's basically the past 20 years since I got out of prison, and I was on parole. And my parole was tricky because I was sentenced under the NERA Act in New Jersey, which is called the No Early Release Act. It's reserved for violent crimes. I was, I think, the second person in the state sentenced under it. So they didn't understand whether there'd be parole or not because you had to do 85% of your sentence, similar to you in the federal system. And it wasn't as if they were just tagging on 3 months or 4 months of parole after the fact. They were tagging on the entire top number. So essentially it was like getting a 6 and getting out in 3 years. And with that said, it just, I told the story and, you know, it's just got published on the 25th of March and we're doing publicity for it. And that's how I found you.
That's awesome, man. I wonder how many people in your circle are going to be shocked to find out today when they listen to this that you went to prison all those years ago.
Probably a lot. I wore it on my sleeve in certain respects, and I'll tell that story at some point. I tell it in the book because I was dating a girl, and she was a good girl from a good family, and I was 24, and I'd just gotten out of prison. I was hiding it and lying about my applications and just basically filling in the gaps of those 3 years that I was gone. And we got serious after about 3 weeks, and I was like, and serious, but I really cared for her. And I was like, well, I have to tell her who I am because if I don't, what will happen? And I did, and it was difficult. And after that point, I sort of towed the line of telling everyone and being upfront and telling no one. So I was like a dichotomy. So some people knew everything, and like a lot of very, very large swath knew nothing. So yeah, I think a lot of people would be surprised.
Yeah, that's what I love. I love those guests that come on the show that you look at them and you don't think they went to prison, and you know, and it changes throughout the course of the episode. It's like, wow, this guy went to prison. He has this insane story, and that's, I feel like, the way people kind of look at me in a way too. About my story. And I was so embarrassed by talking about prison or even going to prison. And then once I owned it, my whole life changed. So if we can inspire people to do that and talk about it, I think it changes the world.
I think that is the most important part of what I'm doing, what you're doing. I'm glad that you believe the same as me. Everyone deserves a second chance, sometimes even a third and fourth chance, but it's all circumstantial. And I believe that everything starts with hard work, right? If you're scrubbing toilets, scrub them to the best of your abilities. I always use this example, so if whoever's heard it before, I apologize. And before you know it, you're going to be managing the cleaning crew. You're going to be doing this and doing that. Everything's about upward mobility, and how you get there is hard work and dedication, showing up on time, not giving lip, dressing a certain way, speaking a certain way, not drawing attention to yourself, and keeping your head down and really focus. It's work. None of us want to work unless you're doing something creative or something you love. That's fun. That's the dream. But most people, lawyers working 80 to 100 hours a week, you think they love reading that much legalese day in and day out? No, but they love the paycheck and what the paycheck does for the lifestyle.
Absolutely. Well, now before we jump more into your story, we have to do the Magic Mind mental performance shot. No alcohol in it, so don't worry.
Good.
I started working with Magic Mind last year, and I take one of these before every interview.
Cool.
Best served cold. Do you like matcha?
I do.
Yeah, matcha flavored.
Yeah, it smells great.
It smells
now,
good.
do we just
Taste
shoot it?
Yeah,
or is
I
it
just shoot it.
Full drink.
I
All right,
got the
let's
whole
go.
thing down.
Wow. It's got a zest to it.
Yeah, it doesn't leave you with that hangover like some energy drinks does, and it really literally locks you in. I mean, we're locked in right now.
We actually are locked in. That's the irony, is they locked the door behind us. The air conditioner went off, and I'm like, oh, okay, we really are locked in.
I got the prison cell upstairs.
Yeah,
but,
I saw that. That's pretty cool.
These things are great. And if you're a coffee guy, you can have this with coffee too. But it helps dial you in. Sometimes, you're doing, or in my world, I'm doing a couple interviews, could get drained or unfocused, and these just bring me back to life and can really help me focus on the interview. So I love these. And unlike a lot of other brands, they give 50% off to people that sign up for this using code IanB50. It's magicmind.com, IanB50, and we'll have that link in the episode description. But they're great, and I have people that message me all the time. They're like, hey, are these actually good? I'm like, yeah, we stock them. You saw our fridge out there.
I did see the fridge. I can attest that this flavor is good, and that's the truth. I just had it. It's good, and it gives you a nice little thing, and it definitely goes down quite easy.
Yeah, and what I love about Magic Mind, too, is they'll hear our guests talking about it, and then they'll always email me and be like, hey, we'd love to send some to that guest that really enjoyed it. So they're really good about that, and they're just a great company, and they taste good. So yeah, everyone check out Magic Mind, magicmind.com/IanB50, and grab your mental performance shots. And if you like these a lot, I'll send you home with some today.
I appreciate
got plenty.
that.
Yeah, you definitely got to try.
I may take you up on that.
Absolutely. So Nick, where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
So I'm from Bergen County, New Jersey. I grew up in a small town called Westwood. That I say small town, but now it's like the rival to Ridgewood in the area. It's become a little Ridgewood, which is dare I say, an affluent town. And when I was growing up, it was not like that. It was on the cusp. It was kind of middle of the road. I grew up when there was a true middle class. And within those classes, I would believe we were a very middle class family, maybe a little bit lower middle class, but hovering on the, teetering on the edge. I had a good family, wonderful mother and father, younger brother. I was always provided anything one needs to succeed in the sense of love, support, caring, education, and I threw it all away at every turn. Really, I guess, jump right in.
Run with it.
At a young age, I was an angry kid, the kind of kid who's like fighting all the time. And this is like 5th, 6th, 7th grade. So but bloody noses, real boxing style, street fighting, little kid fights, right? But fighting nonetheless. Neighbors, rivals. And then as I got older, slightly older, I started being bullied. Suddenly I wasn't a fighter. I was more of can we curse on this? Mm. I was a fucking pussy, right? So I was like getting my ass kicked and not having the balls to do anything about it, and then like punching a tree and like busting my hand up. Like it was the total antithesis of what I was earlier on. And I don't know why. I don't know. It's because the kids were bigger. There was more at stake. Socially, I didn't have many friends. So I think that kind of played into it for me. And I remember, many, many nights crying myself to sleep. Like my parents never knew anything, nothing. They just thought, they used to make a joke, you have friend of a week. And I was like, yeah, because like no one wants to be friends with me. Like they'll come, we'll hang out, they'll play my video games that you bought me, but then they don't want to hang out with me, and then we're not friends anymore. So I sort of experienced that growing up at a younger age, around 12, 13, 14. And then that anger started, like I started just getting angry, right? And it became a bit of a problem because I was punching holes in the wall, kicking holes in the wall. I was like breaking my parents' house up. And, you know, at one point my mother gave me an axe and told me to go outside to a tree that had been cut down. And she said, no more, you're going to ruin my house. You're going to go outside and take your anger out on the tree. And I'll tell you, it worked because you're so exhausted swinging an axe. It doesn't last very long. And that's it. All the anger's out, exhaustion. And you go to bed and you wake up a new day. Well, it's one of many stories about anger, but it kind of started there. And then I remember I was 13 and I was athlete playing sports. And right before I was in between grade school and ninth grade. And I told my father I needed a job. And he's like, you'll work your whole life. I just bought you a pair of Jordans. What do you need money for? And I was like, pizza and this. I want to take a girl to the movies. He's like, no, you don't need a job. Play sports and eventually you'll be successful. That was his rationale. Great, Dad. Well, that didn't really work for me. I found a job pumping gas at a gas station. And this is the kind of, for me, where everything began to go wrong. I was young. I had access to cash, credit card machines, a lot of downtime. I was alone. And then my mentor was 18, 17. You get your license at 17 in Jersey or 18 at that time. Kid whose father was a local town cop, so I thought he was a good kid, who taught me everything in the worst way possible. So he took me under his wing. By the time I was 13, I had sold my first bag of marijuana for him. I had enlisted another kid that I used to fight with. He used to be my mortal enemy. And to go sell to all his friends who were like the wrong side of the track group, where I was like the athlete kid. No one wanted to smoke weed if you're playing football and wrestling. But if you weren't at that time, it was a big deal. So now I'm selling drugs as a middleman. I'm working at a gas station, earning cash money. Then I start thinking of how to rob people's credit cards and just take money. And then I was doing that for a while, like a little scumbag. And then one day he was like, hey, let's go to Manhattan. I was like, oh, I've never been. Or I had been once with my parents, and I was scared shitless because we're talking about like Dinkins era Manhattan, like very, very different. And I get in his car, I go, and he takes me up to fucking Harlem to some drug spot. And I'm in the middle of the ghetto, essentially, and it is wild outside. Like this is like no joke. Like when you see like the cans with the fire in them, people shooting fireworks off in them, gunshots, laughing, drinking 40, smoking weed. And I'm sitting there like this, like a little white kid, like, oh my God, I'm so fucking scared. And he's like, yo, relax. I got you. All of a sudden he goes, don't move. I'm going to lock you in the car. I'll be right back. I'm like, you're going to be right back. I'm thinking he's going to take me with him. So I'm scared on both sides. He locks the door. And before he does, he reaches under the seat, pulls out a burner, and puts it in his waist. And I'm like, oh, for those of you who don't know what a burner is, it's a gun. Puts it in his waist. I'm fucking 13 years old, and I'm like, oh, I'm freaking out. Like, I'm like losing my shit. Why did I come? I'm sweating. I'm like goosebumps. And he's like, just stay here, don't move. So he leaves. Some dude comes around, like staring in the car, I'm in the tint like this, like a petrified child. 20 minutes later, he comes out. He daps the guy up. Apparently, he knew the guy. Gives him whatever. Comes into the car. He's like, "Oh, you met my boy. He washes my car for me." I'm like about to cry. I'm like, "Get me back to New Jersey." Puts the gun away. Puts the weed in the stash spot, and then he takes out a tinfoil thing, and he's like, "You want a bump?" And I'm like, "What is that?" He's this coke, man. And I'm like, "No, you're a druggie." And like, all I'd ever heard from my father was stay away from drugs. Heroin kills, cocaine is bad for you. Just stay away from drugs. Weed, I never thought was anywhere near that. So that's why I was dealing it to be cool and try to make an extra buck. But once I saw that, I wrote this guy off. I was like, I'm done. I'm going back to being an athlete. I went to a private high school, Catholic high school. Only now, prior to going, I had been a bit of under the hip hop influence, listening to NWA, Public Enemy, dressing a certain way, mannerisms a certain way, really trying to find my way as a kid to fit in anywhere where I would be accepted. And I brought that acceptance that I had from a group of individuals that I played sports with and that came around the station at times and that I sold drugs to this Catholic school. And at that time, that was not the thing to do. And it was frowned upon and I was looked down upon and I was bullied even further. I mean, I remember being jumped in the shower naked. That sucked. Like 5 or 6 dudes, towels in the soap bars in the socks, beating the shit out of me while I'm laying on the ground, slipping because you can't get your footing. And also just too scared to really fight back. So it was a bunch of that started what was to become the monster that was created.
I've never heard of a drug dealer getting bullied.
Well, this is the funny part, right? So because I was a middleman, no one knew I was selling drugs. It was him, who's a big drug dealer at the age of 18, and the kid that was hanging out with the wrong side of the tracks, and I was just giving it to him and taking it from him. No one knew anything. It was literally a transaction. Like I'd go in the back of the gas station, go to the stash spot. I'd be like, hey, we have stuff there? Yeah, we do. Go get it. Get it, give it to him, take the money, put the money back in the stash spot or direct to him. That was it. Now, ironically, and we'll find out why later, this guy ended up going to prison for armed robbery, who was my mentor. Didn't know it at the time. Found it out many, many years later. So now here I am being bullied in this Catholic school, and I'm miserable. Sports are miserable because I have no friends, so I'm becoming a wise ass in class to try to get attention. Then I'm going home and upset because I have no friends. Then I'm going to practice, and because I had detention, I'm late, so I'm running hills, and now the team has to crab hills or do this because it's a group punishment. So I'm creating enemies everywhere I go. So it became very uncomfortable. Year 2, I started hanging out with some of these guys from the other side of the tracks again in the summer break, and I decided I want to go to public school. Went back, my parents were like, absolutely not. We paid for you to go here. We borrowed money for you to go here. This is your education. You're playing sports. You're a 3-sport athlete. This is your future. It's like, okay. Within 6 weeks in the new year, it got so bad, I was just begging to get out, right? Every day was miserable. Fighting, running from people. It's horrible. So one day I'm walking by Jostin's ring table, and I just decide to steal a ring. Just take it. I get back after lunch to my locker, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is a worthless piece of metal. Toss it in my varsity jacket, go to class. I'm sitting in class, knock on the door, teacher leaves, comes back, Mr. Marshall, boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, I'm sitting in front of the headmaster of the school, and they're like, you stole this ring. How dare you steal in the house of God? And I'm like, I didn't take anything. I created this elaborate lie. I deny everything. I blame some poor kid who wasn't even one of my tormentors, just some kid, because I thought it was more believable. And they suspended me for 3 days upon investigation. And 3 days later, they brought my whole family in, and they're like, and now I'm sitting in front of the headmaster, who's an old archdiocese brother in his whole garb, 2 people standing by his side, me like this, my parents like here. And all of a sudden they're like, so we've completed our investigation. I'm like, yeah. So who was it? It was him, right? And they were like, Mr. Marshall, it was you. We know it's you. And because you happen to be a Dean's List student, we don't want to ruin the rest of your life. So we are going to ask you to leave. We're not going to expel you unless you don't leave. If you don't leave by year's end, you're expelled. It will be on your records. You'll never be able to get into college, so on and so forth. So I'm like happy. I'm like, yes! My parents are like staring at me. I'm like, oh, sorry. So I got what I wanted, right? So fast forward to finish the year. Now at this point, like I'm the biggest news in this Catholic high school ever because like no one's ever gotten kicked out of there. I had apparently the most detention hours ever. And I was serving them in the morning and the evenings. And then I leave. And that next summer is when it all just kind of changed. So now I'm angry at being bullied. I'm angry at life. I hate everyone. except for my crew. And my crew happened to be African-American kids that moved from, Patterson, Passaic, rough areas into the suburb to get a better life. Well, that usually works until you don't want it to work. And most of the kids back then, it was cool to be a badass. So I remember I was the first one to turn 17 and get my learner's permit or car. And the first day I get my car that my grandfather helped buy me with my savings from the gas station, we drove to Ogden Ave in the Bronx and bought sacks of weed. And we went up there with, I think, $40 each. The next morning, I had $80. That next afternoon, the next morning, 160. Boom, 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 boom. And we just kept doing this. Flipping it, smoking it, flipping it, smoking it. Well, one day we go to Ogden and the spot's not good. So the boy I'm with, this kid Jay, was like, yo, let's go to Edgecombe. Go 168th and Edgecombe. I know a spot. So we go there. We cop totally different product. So now it's like small little dime bags of like Purple Haze. So it's good weed. It's no longer swag, right? So I was pushing dirt, flipping dirt. Now I have good weed. So it's a different mathematical equation. So now I'm like, all right, well, in order to make this work, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then retrain the clientele, give it to them to try first, take the hit financially. And I'm learning all this at 17 years old, like very quickly. Then I start building more money. So now I have like, call it $1,000 cash. Fucking 17 years old. It's a lot of money. I'm like, oh, $1,000 and back in the 90s. And we go over the bridge one day, and when we come back, luckily the spot was hot and we had to come back with nothing. But when we came back, there was a police stop. And all the cops were there just searching people as they came through the bridge. Because at that time, we didn't have the technology. So they just used random shit because they knew how much drugs were running over that bridge. Like real players, not like my little dime bag shit. But, so it freaked me out. It scared me. So I was like, this is too much risk. I'm going to find someone local and I'm going to buy weight. So I started searching, found someone to buy weight from, and I bought my first ounce. So I bought my first ounce. Then I went to Greenwich Village. I bought a scale, I bought bags, I did all the, come back to my apartment, lay it out, or my bedroom in my parents' house, right? Lay it all out, and I'm doing the math, and I'm like, all right, my ounce cost me $3.20. This is how much I can offer for this amount, blah, blah, blah. I was like, shit, I just made, almost two and a half times my money. This is great. Let's see how quick I can get rid of this. And that's how I started. Well, that little kernel became very, very quickly growing. And before you knew it, I was the town drug dealer. And now, this is where I was no longer bullied. Because what I realized is that when you have something people want, it creates a sense of power. Whether it's real power or it's not, in that sense, suddenly to not be bullied alone was power. Then all the girls were starting to take interest to me, even though their jock friends hated me, from a different perspective. So now I was giving girls free drugs to ingratiate myself with them. I was selling drugs through them to their people. And then I had other people working for me selling drugs in different facets of the community. Then the cops, local town cops started coming on. They kind of got what was going on, started following me. Every time my car left my driveway, within 10 minutes, a cop would be behind me. It was as if all of them knew there was radio, like it was becoming bad. During this time, my parents were getting divorced and my mother moved out because she said she couldn't handle me. There were strange people coming to the house all day and night. She knew what I was doing. They knew what I was doing. They couldn't stop me. And I was off living this life. Well, at that point, it really went crazy because now I'm almost 18 at this point, and I'm about to be a senior in high school, or just halfway through senior year of high school. And again, I'm amalgamating my dates, but so just bear with me. But it's all within that condensed timeline.
You went to public school?
Yeah, public school. Okay. Yeah, so now I'm in public school. And I was on a work study program too. So like I only needed to fulfill gym and English for the first 2 hours of the day. So I went to school from 8 to 10. Then I went from 10 I had to go to an accountant's office 3 times a week for 2 hours. That's it. So I had a lot of free time in my senior year of high school. And what I do with it, sold drugs, right? Start doing them. So now with the house essentially being my house, because my father's at work 12 hours a day, my younger brother's at school, I went nuts. I invited who became my gunman to live with me, because now I was selling in different towns, and I never knew what was going to happen. Someone tried to rob me once. It didn't work out, but it scared me enough that I realized I needed protection. So now I gave him room and board, paid him. He lived in my bedroom, slept on the floor, and his .44 Ruger was underneath my bed every night, along with all of our drugs in my safe of drugs. Then we started going to clubs, and I went to the Tunnel for the first time, and I fell in love. I did ecstasy there for the first time, a little bit of ketamine. Oh, it's like night and day to my suburban experience. And now I had all this money. So I started going every single week. And before you know it, 2 things happened. 1, I met a real drug dealer. And 2, I met a debutante who I was sleeping with. And she had nothing to do all day but drugs.
What did you just call her?
A debutante.
What is that?
It's like you're so rich that you have like a coming out party to society. And she was so rich. And her dad bought her, she was like 19 years old. She owned her own apartment on 8th Street off University in Greenwich Village.
Wow.
And I used to be there day in and day out. And we used to just do drugs and then have sex and then go to the Silver Spoons diner and eat milkshakes and burgers and shit because we needed sustenance back after all the drugs. And then just repeat that. And at that point, now, so take one track back, the drug dealer. So I meet him. At first, he gives me a little stuff to try. I tell him I'm big in New Jersey, which wasn't a lie, I was big in one thing, marijuana. And I wasn't that big, but I was moving a good deal of money at that time. So he goes ahead and he tells me, I want to introduce you to my boss. I'm like, great. So I show up to this apartment and it's scary. And I'm like, all right, I'm built for this. I can do this. But they're 2 white dudes, so I didn't even think I wasn't that scared. I was like, all right, they weren't intimidating, size-wise or anything. So I was like, I could probably beat them if I had to and whatever. Unless they got guns, then I'm fucked. So I remember sitting down with him. He's like, well, how much are you moving? And I started telling him. He's like, all right, that's good. He's like, so can you move ecstasy? And I was like, probably. I was like, nobody knows what ecstasy is by me, but I'm sure I could sell it because I just did it and it was amazing. I was like, so just give me enough so I can start giving people pills to get them hooked and then I'll buy them. He's like, all right, I like your head, where your head's at. So he's like, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you this on the arm. I was like, what does that mean? He's like, I'm going to give this to you. You have 2 weeks to give me my money. And if you don't give me my money, we're going to come looking for you. And I was like, okay. So it was like 100 pack of E, right? 100 pills. And it was a lick K, just 1 lick, 4 jars at that time. And I was like, what's this? He's like, that's K. See if you can move that too. I was like, yeah, I've heard of that. I did a bump. It's kind of crazy. And he's like, yeah. So I take it back. I give it to, now at this point, I have kids working for me that are my brother's friends in high school. So they're running all the high school stuff. I'm dealing with all the older townsmen that want drugs that they're coming to this little kid to get. And I start distributing it all, giving it away for free. Try this. Sure enough, as soon as they tried ecstasy, ketamine moves slower, but the ecstasy moves so fucking quick. It was like, I think I gave away 10, 20 pills. And next thing you know, I sold 80, the rest of the 100 pack in less than the 2 weeks. So I take all the money, I go back and I'm like, take my share. I'm like, holy shit, now I'm really making money. So he's like, great. So we started that. And now I got my gunman living at home. I had met the debutante by this time within that time frame. So I'm spending 3-4 days a week getting blasted. I had a 5-pill-a-day ecstasy habit. I would just dump ecstasy all day long and then do K and then smoke weed to get alive again and then go to clubs. I was at Spy Bar. I was at Moomba. I was every Twilo, every nightclub you could think of in New York, I was there because now I had access and I had a lot of money. So that's all you needed, access and money. So that's how I started getting really bad. But then my business started falling apart because I was going, I think at one point, and again, perspective, at that point, at this height, I was making about $3,000 to $4,000 a week cash. Now, I'm 18 years old and I live with my parents. That's a sizable amount of money, right? Put it in perspective of what it would be today. It was 1997, right?
So it's a lot of, it's probably like 10 grand today, right? Maybe
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, a
And
week.
you have no expenses.
No expenses. Yeah. So like today, it'd be like 10 grand a week. And it's a nice number, right? So
In cash. Yeah, it's great.
in cash. And all I'm doing is blowing it. Going into the Versace store, I'll take those sunglasses. Going into Neiman Marcus, private shopper. Here's my stack of cash. Just fill the dressing room. Boom, boom, boom. Nothing to show for it. Didn't buy a car. I used to buy Movado watches, and then my crew used to steal them from me. So I just buy another one, and it was the running joke. Oh, you lost another Movado. I'm like, bro, one of you motherfuckers stole it from me. Like, I pay you, and you still steal my shit. I get it. It's how this game works, right? So around that time, I was getting so fucked out of my mind. My business was failing. So now I'm like struggling. And during this, a town cop started parking his entire 8-hour shift in front of my house because people were running drugs in and out of my house while I was gone through my gunman who was running everything for me because he was just sitting in the house, just doing everything. And my mother wasn't there. She wasn't living there. My father was at work 12 hours. My brother was at school and playing sports and being a good kid. And I was fucking everything up. And my mind at that point falling apart. So one day I get a phone call from him and he goes, yo, you need to come home now. I was like, why? He's like, your mother just came home. I'm like, what? So I show up and my mother's living in the basement. I'm like, what are you doing here? She's like, what am I doing here? This is my house. She lost it on me, to her credit. And I said, fine, I'll leave. So I pack Mike up and I move out. I go get my own apartment in West New York, pay cash. They won't let me pay cash. I call my father. I was like, they need you to sign this. He's like, how can you afford $900 a month at 18 years old? I go, Dad, that's a stupid fucking question. And he's like, oh, all right, fine. So he signs for the apartment for me. I give him all the cash, pay the year up front, and I go about my business. Now, this is where the wheels really start to fall off. So obviously my business is already suffering. Now I've moved towns. So it's more of travel time, and like there's other people now selling drugs. I'm not the only game in town. So I'm losing customers. I'm never there. I'm fucked out of my mind. I'm forgetting about picking up shipments. I'm late with payments. I'm spending too much money and not having enough money to pay my suppliers. So one day, my good old crew decides to say, why don't we rob your supplier? And I was like, no, that's crazy. They're like, no, we used to do stick-ups all the time. And I was like, really? They're like, yeah, bro, what the fuck? You think this shit is gravy? It's real out here. You know, and I'm like, all right, cool. All right, I'll set them up. So went to the city, clocked them, figured out everything, how people entered the building, how they left. I sat there for 2-3 days just monitoring everything and went back and was like, here's the schedule, here's everything, here's when the delivery comes in, this is when you got to hit them. And we bought walkie-talkies, like 3-ways, everything. We drove into the city. We had lookouts on the corner. 2 of my boys masked up, took the burner, duct taped them to a toilet, pistol whipped them, and took all the fucking drugs and money. We get off. We're racing away. All of a sudden, we go to get on the fucking FDR. Police everywhere. I almost shit my pants. I was so scared. I got like God knows how much drugs, guns, everything in this fucking car, and there's cops everywhere. And I'm like, we're done. And then the one cop just stands in front of us and goes like this. And we're like, what? It was fucking Clinton's motorcade. So we're like, holy shit, we did it. We did this. We go back to my house. We're sitting in my bedroom. Pounds of weed. Throwing them at each other's head, taking the money, throwing it, pills of ecstasy. Here, you want one? Like it was shit you see in the movies. I think it was like 40 grand worth of cash drugs at that time. It's a lot of fucking money for a bunch of 5 little fucking kids to have. And so now we have the thirst for it, right? So and again, I went forward to come back. That was before I left my house. So now I'm in my own apartment and my business is coming down. And sorry, I'm doing this off the cuff. So it's like, I don't have my notepad here. And so now we're sitting in this new apartment and I'm getting a lecture from my gunman, basically, who's now living with me in my new apartment on a couch. So he's got an upgrade. I have my bedroom. He's got a couch. And he's like, you're fucking shit up. You're ruining it. I'm like, fuck you. I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. He's like, all right, fuck it. Let's go rob this guy. All right. So we get fucked up. We go up the block to rob this coke dealer we know. He leaves. My guy breaks in, comes out 20 minutes later, freaked out. He's like, yo, go. I'm like, what? How much we get? He's like, there was nothing there. I got 2 bags. As soon as he pulled that out, I knew I was done. I was like, oh, I'm fucked. He takes the 2 bags. We get fucked out of our mind. And during this time, we get a phone call. People know what's going on. Someone told someone. And now I'm scared. While all this is going on, my father calls me and says, answer your phone, your cousin's calling you. I was like, all right. Now, I idolize my cousin. My cousin was one of the top 3 commercial editors in the world. Every Pepsi, GE spot, super famous guy. And had everything, right? Apartment in Paris, loft in New York, great business, money, girls, everything I aspired to through selling drugs, he had. So I'm waiting by the phone, pick up the call. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, you fucking piece of shit. You're breaking your father's heart. He's like, get to my fucking office tomorrow, 8 a.m. Don't fucking be late. Hangs up the phone. Oh. So I run next morning. This is the day after the the robbery. I go to his office. He sits me down. He's like, you're a piece of shit. You're fucking beyond piece of shit. He's like, it's one thing. He goes, I do drugs. I do more fucking drugs than you've ever seen. But I don't steal from people. I don't fucking rob people. I don't fucking sell drugs. He goes, I do them because I make enough fucking money to do them. And I was so impressed. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to do them. And he's like, all right, well, now you have a job. Only you're not allowed to sell drugs anymore. I'm like, okay, fine. So I go back, break the news to my gunman. He's obviously upset because I say, and that means you're going to have to leave. He's like, all right, I'll find a place. Cool. I was like, I'll give you 2 weeks. So I stop everything. I call my guys. I was like, how much you owe me that? Keep half. Just give me half. I'm like cutting deals with my supplier. Just give me half the money. I want out that much, right? I'm like trying to go straight. I'm done. I'm going straight. Yeah. Well, then I go into the office for the first 2 weeks, first few days. Everything's great. I'm eating crow. I'm learning a real job. It's crazy. I come home. There's nothing in my apartment. Mike's sitting on the fucking floor. I've been robbed. He was held at gunpoint by the guy that we robbed the coke from. Everything is gone in my apartment. And now I'm like, fuck. So I was like, just wires hanging on my wall. The couch was the only thing remaining because it was too big to fucking take. All the TVs are gone, the PlayStation, everything. My money, my watches, all the drugs, everything that was left's gone. So it's like, fuck. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, yo. He's like, you fucking piece of shit. I was like, all right, listen, I don't want in this game anymore. I don't want violence. How do I get my shit back? He's like, how do you get your shit back? I should fucking kill you for robbing me. I was like, all right, yes. Okay, you're right. How do I get my shit back? And he's like, give me $4,000. I was like, $4,000 for my fucking, I was at the attitude. And he's like, dude, are you out of your fucking mind yelling at me? I was like, oh, no, you're right. $4,000. Fuck. So I go grab $4,000 out of a stash spot that I had not in the apartment. And he's like, meet me here. I'm like, fuck. Alone. No, don't come with your guy. Come alone. So now I'm like, all right, you got $4,000 cash on you. He wants to meet you at an empty lot in Jersey City over by the projects. You already know what that is and what that looks like. Are you going to go? And I'm like, yeah, I got to go. I got to just do this. So I did it. That's me talking to myself. I pull up. To his word, he was there alone. Trunk was popped, standing out there. He had his burner on him, so I knew, this is not something to play with. And he literally started counting out my stereo system, my TV. I just gave him the whole $4,000 at one point. I was like, no, here it is. Just give me everything back. I loaded my car with my shit and I drove back to the apartment. When I got back to the apartment, I said, Mike, I need you out tomorrow. Right? That's it. Done. I'm done with this life. Fast forward 4 months. I lose my job with my cousin, threaten to kill him, lose my apartment. And by the way, why? Because I got my first few paychecks. I was paid every 2 weeks. Do you know how much my paycheck was?
$1,200.
$225 take home.
That's it?
Every 2 weeks. I was a PA. I was the lowest scum on the totem pole. And I couldn't afford a $900 rent at $220 take home every 2 weeks. And all my money was just tossing it for months at a time to make it up and still trying to live a lifestyle, like go to grab a bite or do this or go to the movies. I just drained everything. I went into the poorhouse. I lost everything. And now I lost the job and I threatened to kill my cousin. So none of that worked out well. Upon losing the apartment, I get another call from my other cousin. He goes, your father told me you lost your apartment. Come live with me in grandma's house. I'm like, all right. He goes, you'll be protected, you'll be around family, and you can get your head out of your ass and start fresh. I was like, great. So I have an ego, obviously. And the next morning, once I got settled, I went into the city and I started passing around my resume to every editorial house with my cousin's name on it, like a reference. And every interview I'd sit there as I was now going from some PA job, I wanted to be an assistant editor. I had no experience. I didn't know what I was doing. I lied on my resume, lied about everything, and used my cousin's name. And then every interview I sat in, they were like, wow, you work for him. What's he like? I've heard things about him. Like, he's an asshole. I was like, that's why I'm leaving. I have to leave. I got to grow. I can't work with that asshole. That's why he's got the name he's got. I was like throwing him under the bus. Sure enough, one hippie stoner dude decides to buy it all and gives me a job. I'm like, great. So now I'm making a few bucks, not much more, but whatever. I'm commuting back and forth in the path, going to Kearney. I was now living in Kearney, New Jersey, right next to Newark. And I basically am doing nothing every day because my boss is a stoner. So I'm teaching myself how to cut on an Avid off of music video footage. And I'm just sitting there all day doing nothing. Phone rings. Interesting. Yo, what's up? One of my old cronies, crew members. Yo, blah, blah. I don't want to name names. Blah, blah's took over your everything. He's crushing it. He's making you look like a fool. Everyone wants to be around him, blah, blah. He's making so much money. I was in his place last night, had 100,000 liquid, just cash and drugs. So now I'm like, took over my turf. He's got $100,000. I need money. I was like, nah. He's like, yo, it's so easy though. He doesn't even own a gun. He's got nothing. Like, he doesn't have protection. He's just blah, blah. I'm like, all right, I'll call you right back. So call my other boy. He's like, I'm down. Call my other boy. He's like, I'm down. So I'm like, great. So we come up with this stupid fucking idea to just walk into a house party and rob them. Because it's in his parents' mansion in a very leafy suburb of New Jersey. So we think it will be that easy. So we get in the car, I pick everyone up, we drive up, we go in, and as soon as we ring the doorbell, I start feeling weird. A, I've never done a robbery before. B, we don't have masks. We're who we are. Everyone knows us. We're going to a party, and we're going to rob everyone? So dumb idea from the start, my idea. So it was really dumb, right? Because I just wasn't experienced and didn't think this one through. And we get to the door, and this girl opens the door, and she's like, and they're like, who's here? Who's here? And we start to like walk in the front door, and you can feel like the tension, the pin drop. And then the girl hugs my guy, who's my gunman, and she feels the burn on his waist, and she just goes white, starts shaking. And the guy who owns the house, the drug dealer, comes over and says, what's going on? Why are you guys even here? I didn't invite you guys to my house. We're like, and all of a sudden, Mike, to his credit, knew right away. He's been in these situations before. He goes, no, we didn't want to be invited anyway. Fuck it, we're leaving. No, we good. That's all right. And she's like, yeah, leave. Like, you could just tell how fucking scared she was. Because she knows these dudes are real. They'll do it. And they don't care. And, I never had to do it before, but everyone knew my reputation of the people I was around and the fact that if you took something from us, we'd get it back one way or another. And we get in the car and I pull off and I start flipping out. What the fuck? What the fuck? We could have had them motherfuckers. We could have taken them. I was like, I'm wiling out. I'm going fucking nuts. And all of a sudden, Mike turns to me. He's in passenger. He's like, fuck you, you fucking pussy. You don't do shit. You ain't never robbed anyone. You ain't never shot a gun. You ain't never fucking pistol whipped nobody. You ain't never had a gun pulled on you. Fucking nobody. You're a pussy. Start fucking lighting me up. And now, where do you think I went?
Back to the party?
No, I went back to my youth of being bullied. I haven't been bullied since I've been selling drugs. But now it's my gun man, my right hand, my muscle telling me I'm a pussy. So I fucking steaming. I remember dropping everyone off at their houses. Finally, I get to his house wherever he was staying. I was like, get out. He's like, yo, listen, man. Just listen to me. He's like, look at me. He's like trying to level with me. He's like, listen, this isn't your world, bro. I never forget this conversation. He looked me dead in the eye and he said, this isn't for you. I'm sorry I called you a pussy, but it's not for you. Please don't do anything fucking stupid because I can see in your eyes, your wheels are turning. Don't do what you're thinking of doing. Just trust me. I was like, get the fuck out of the car, right? Mad. As soon as he gets out, call this one guy, call another guy. They're in. Call another guy. He's like, yeah, I can get you a gun. Boom, boom, boom. Next day, I'm pulling rope from, Target. Then I'm getting gloves from a hardware store. Then I'm getting masks from Kmart. I'm getting walkie-talkie. I'm fucking on. I'm lost. I am on it. I'm fucking going to do this. I'm going to do it myself. You should call me a fucking pussy? All right, here we go. So I was just, next day, fucking leave work early. Boom, set everything up, blah, blah, blah. I had the instructions of what was going to go on, how to get in the house, so on and so forth. We pull up to the house, pull up in the cut of a dark area, put the mask on. My boy pulls the gun. And this is a true story too. And that's when I was like, are you sure we need that? And I'm the one who had gotten it for us. And he was like, yeah, we should have it. And I was like, all right. Now right there, I could have changed armed robbery to strong arm robbery, which armed robbery is 25 years, top line. Strong arm's like 5 or 7. So right off the bat, instead of facing 25 years, I could have been facing 7. Little things you think about. Obviously, I shouldn't have done it in the first place, but I'm just, there was something in me that said, don't take the gun.
And this is the same house you tried to go to the night before?
Yes, the night before, right? So we break in through the back. Everything's open as such. And we burst into a door, kick it open, and there's 7 kids on the floor, drugged out of their mind, having a party. And I'm like, get the fuck up. Get the fuck up. Everyone's just like, and adrenaline's rushing. Everything's going crazy. Get the fuck up. And then all of a sudden, he busts through with the gun. Get up. As soon as they saw the gun, you could see and feel their fear, and they just started to get up. And then we just started taking them, tossing them into the room. So basically, we moved them from one room to the other, and we're tossing. But the one kid didn't want to get up, the kid who was the actual drug dealer. And I remember picking him up and looking him in the eyes, and he looked me dead in the eye. He knew it was me. He knew it. I knew he knew. And I fucking yoked him and tossed him into the other room hard. And then we went for all the drugs, gathered everything, pulled the safe that he had out, blah, blah, blah. It was that it was just at that point, adrenaline. We didn't know what we were doing. We knew what we were doing. And it's just take everything and go. And running outside while the gunman held them in the bathroom all together without their cell phones. And I remember running down this palatial house's lawn, sliding into the car, I'm shaking, fucking tossing a bag into the trunk, starting the car, start driving the car before he's running out the door, with the gun like this, and he jumps in the back seat, and we just take off. No light, nothing. We're about, and this is in a private development too. like a ritzy development. So we're like just exiting development onto the main road. And we're quarter mile maybe. I'm doing higher than the speed limit, but not really speeding, just kind of like freaking out. We got the masks off. We don't know what to do. We're yelling at each other. We're arguing. There's just so many things going on. All of a sudden, sirens coming this way. And I'm like, heart drops. We're done. We're done. And phew, sirens right past us. Doesn't turn around. So I'm like, New York, New York, because we're at the border. So we cross the New York border, and I'm like, whew, all right, at least we're in New York, right? Like, we're not in the state of New Jersey. This is going to take a lot more for them to figure out how to put an APB out, how to figure out like, whatever. But now we're crossing the Tappan Zee Bridge, and the phone rings. And my stupid fucking ass picks it up. Bow, my boy smacks it out. My fucking takes the phone, throws it out over the GWB. Takes every other phone, throws it out. Takes the gun, tosses it out into the fucking, over the GWB into the water. We're all yelling at each other, freaking out at each other. I get across to the other side. I see like a pullover area on the Henry Hudson. We pull over, we stop, take a deep breath, open the back, take the safe. It's like a fire safe. Start breaking it open, doing whatever. Fucking yelling at each other. It's like chaos. Finally, the safe breaks open. And it's like, and we're all just looking at one another. And it just got worse from there because we started counting up the cash, looking at the drugs that came from the safe. And we were like, this is $20,000 worth of shit. So now we're like, really, like, you got to be fucking kidding me. We just risked our lives, our freedom, everything for 20 grand. And we'd done this before, as I said. It was like really fruitful and no risk or little risk. And I'd never done it. So now my adrenaline's like, my ego's flying, my anger, my fear. I'm like everything, right? And I'm just, oh, fuck. All right. Okay, fine. And then we had a co-defendant who set it up, and I went to go give him the drugs, and we chipped him down heavily because of the amount and try to make it like there was nothing. But at that point, he's like, they know it was us. They're calling me. I'm like, what do you, whoa. They don't know anything. They only know what you let them know and what they think they fucking know. I had masks on, I had gloves on. We didn't leave anything there. There's no fucking DNA in that house. Like, and I left drugs on the back porch, so they knew that it was a drug robbery, not just some fucking random act of violence. So shut the fuck up, and we're going to be fine. Big argument ensues there. As soon as I left, we get back in the car. They're like, he's going to rat. I was like, I know he's going to rat. Right? He's going to tell the truth. He's going to save himself. Okay? Now the question is, what the fuck do we do? So I drop everyone off. I go back to my grandmother's house in Kearney, my cousin's apartment. He's not home. So now I'm like, fuck. I decide to cook a lick. And I just sit on the couch, I don't know why, A Clockwork Orange was on. Love the movie. Kind of fitting, it seemed. And I sniff the entire fucking lick. Probably could have died, maybe, whatever. All I know is at about 11:45 the next morning, I woke up out of like a slumber where you're like drilling on yourself. And I was like, and now I'm like seeing images from the night before. Holy shit, oh, this is real. I did that. Oh my God. I'm feeling sick. I want to vomit. I can't vomit. I'm like, and I look at my phone, 40 something missed calls. And I'm like, so I was like, and I got to be at work. Then I was like, oh, I'm late for work. So I go to work. Sitting in work, I'm freaked the fuck out. Calls are coming. This guy. Everything's leading to us, but no one can prove anything. Finally, my boys, he's like, I bought a train ticket. I'm out. My next boy, I'm getting out of here. Lay low. Don't leave your house. I go home from work. I tell my boss, I'm like, I'm going to try to come back tomorrow. He says, what do you mean you're going to try to come back tomorrow? I was like, oh, no, sorry. I'll see you in the morning. But my head's so fucked up. Like, I don't know what to do. I get home. I'm sitting there looking through the blinds all night long, like a fucking tweaker, just thinking someone's coming for me. Someone's coming for me. At this point, I turn my phone off to try to like, maybe the cell towers or something. I don't know. So I'm freaking the fuck out. Next morning, I was like, what are you so nervous about? No one came last night. You're good. No, I go into work, sitting at work, cutting a Madonna video. I'm like, bopping my head along to the music, da, 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 da. Like whatever it was, like a virgin, I don't know, prayer, something, whatever the fucking music she was singing was at that time. And all of a sudden my phone rings. It's a strange number. I was like, oh, don't answer it. Then it's my brother. And I'm like, yo, what's up? He's like, what the fuck did you do? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, 2 fucking Bergen County detectives just showed up to Dad's house. And I was like, what? He's like, what the fuck did you do? I was like, nothing. I'll talk to you later. Just don't tell them anything. I don't live with Grandma. I don't live here. You don't know where I am. Click. Now I'm like, fuck. So then the strange number calls again. I'm like, hello? Try to be tough, right? Hey, hi, is this Nick Marshall? I was like, yeah. Who's this? Like, oh, this is such and such from the Bergen County Detective's Office. There was a robbery in this neighborhood last night, and we just want to understand. Some people your name has come up. We don't think you have anything to do with it, but would you mind coming to the station out here in X and to talk to us? And I'm like, do I need a lawyer? Like, no, you don't need a lawyer. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll be there. So I start gathering my bags to leave work. Suddenly, my stoner boss finally decides he wants to work that day. He's like, where are you going? I was like, yeah, I got to go. He's like, you're just leaving in the middle of the day? You just got here. You already, and I was like, he was like, you're late yesterday and today. I was like, listen, buddy, I got to go. I don't know what to tell you, but I have to go right now. You shouldn't be talking to me like that. You're my employee. I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be your employee anymore. I got to go. And I just leave, right? I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm in the PATH train. I'm like, oh, fuck. I get home. My cousin's there. My cousin's like, don't go fucking meet them without a lawyer. My cousin has his own little issues with the law, but it's all like low level bullshit, right? And he's like, no, don't go. And I'm like, no, I'm fucking going. I was like, they said I didn't do anything. I don't have anything to hide. I have an alibi. He's like, all right, bro, good luck. So I go. I drive up, park the car, go inside. They're like, hey, Mr. Marshall's here. They're all nice to me, shake my hand, sit me down, play good cop, bad cop. I'm like, no, this is my timeline. This is where I was. I already had the alibi locked. So I figured, boom, I was at my friend's house watching the Yankee game. His parents were going to vie for it. I was like, I got 3 people saying I was right here. There you go. I'm good. Anything else? Well, why would they think? I don't know. The guy doesn't like me. I don't know. He's a drug dealer, right? Like, it was like, I was fucking doing whatever I could. And they're like, all right. I was like, so can I go? They're like, yeah, you can go. Oh, wait, do you mind if we walk you out? I was like, sure. They walked me out. And they're like, oh, this is your car? Same car I used for robbery. They're like, this is your car? I was like, yeah. They're like, do you mind if we take a look? And I know I have nothing in there. And he's like, I was like, sure. He goes, in the trunk too. I was like, sure. Pop trunk. These guys leaf around, pulls out a field hockey stick that we used to use to beat the shit out of people when they were owed us money or anything else. And it's probably got some blood on it, but nothing noticeable, like nothing like, if it were a DNA scan, it could be, but not like on it. So he's like, huh, play much field hockey? And I was like, my girlfriend does. It's like quick. I was like, yeah, that was a good one. I was like, I've never dated a field hockey player. Anyway, and he's like, oh, interesting. Puts it back, shuts it, goes, well, Mr. Marshall, we really enjoyed our talk. You have a nice night now. Stay safe. I'm like, you too, officer, take care. I leave. I feel this relief. I'm like, I am fucking good. It's like, I shouldn't have quit my job over that. I'm good. So I go home, tell my cousin, he goes, if they call you again, you get a lawyer. That's it. I was like, yeah. So I go out, get a meal, have a glass of wine, I'm fucking chilling. Now, mind you, I'm 19 years old at this point. 19. Almost 20, right? Right around there. Actually, I just turned 20. And The next day, late in the afternoon, I get a phone call. Hey, Mr. Marshall, it's hey, so look, we pretty much wrapped this thing up, and you're looking good. So we just have one more question that kind of is going to tie this whole thing together for us. So would you mind coming back up to the station? I said, no, I don't really feel comfortable with that. Maybe I'll have my lawyer. No, you don't need a lawyer. Wait, you can meet us someplace. Where do you live? I was like, what does it matter where I live? I was like, why don't we meet for a drink? I say this to fucking 2 Bergen County detectives. I'm 20 years old. Why don't we meet for a drink like we're friends? They go, oh, that's a great idea. Where do you want to meet? And I go, Houlihan's on Route 17 South. I like it there. I fucking get in the car and I drive over there. And, well, sorry, one thing before that. As I'm leaving, my cousin goes, where are you going? I go, oh, I'm going to meet the detectives for a drink on Route 17. He goes, no, do not fucking go. I'll call the lawyer right now. I was like, dude, I'm fine. They want to grab a drink with me. He goes, you're not even 21, dude. You're not 21. You really think Bergen County detectives want to grab a drink with you? Use your fucking head, you idiot. And I was like, no, I'm good. I leave. I park the car. And as I park the car, I step out. I take a few steps. I see them step out of their car. I wave. They wave to me. As soon as I wave, they guns drawn. More hands on this gun. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, fuck. They're like, you're under arrest for the armed robbery. Blah, blah, blah. You have the right to remain silent. I was like, I'm sitting there like, and by the way, the kicker was when that this Houlihan's I had gone to before, so I knew people and like coming in and out, and now I'm sitting on the car like this, and their guns drawn, and so now I'm really freaking out. Then once they cuffed me, I calmed down, and I was like, don't say a fucking word. Lawyer up. They stuffed me in the back of the car. It's mad uncomfortable, and I just stoic. They're like, oh, you don't have much to say today, do you, Mr. Marshall? You really almost got us the other day with that. We almost bought it. If it weren't for your cell phones pinging in the tower or your co-defendants so quickly telling us each other, and I was like, just sitting here, I'm like, lawyer. Like, oh, lawyer. Yeah, don't worry, you'll get a chance for the lawyer, Mr. Marshall. Kept fucking with me. We get up to the station, and then the cops that interviewed me the day before, now was like real good cop, bad cop, but like worse. Like one picked me up, banged me on the table, just fucking tell me. And the other was like, don't touch him, Lou, or whatever. And I'm like, I'm literally in a police movie at this point, and I'm just fucking, I'm lawyer. All right, how about this? Before your lawyer comes, give us a second. Sure enough, they come back with 3 fucking statements, and they slide them across, and they're like, so before you call your lawyer, we just want to let you know, you're going to jail tonight. A judge is waiting on his way down right now to whatever it's called, I'm also blanking at the moment, arraign you, essentially. And we just want to know one thing. There was one person who was quick to give you guys up, and I'm like, fuck. So I look at the statement, scan it over, see the signed copy, look at this, scan it up. I look at I was like, all right, I'll talk. Whoa, wait. They would go get the recorder. And I said, I'm just going to tell you exactly what happened because I did orchestrate it. Here's what happened. I laid it out. They recorded it. Judge came in, arraigned me. About an hour after that, Bergen County van was there to pick me up. Picks me up, brings me to jail. I've never been to jail, right? I had never been handcuffed before that. Now I'm getting like the crash course in it. So now I'm like, all right. Okay, this sucks. Not too bad. Then I get to the county jail and strip search and everything else, and I'm like, whoa, hey, all right, this is a little, all right. Then they throw me in the tank, and in Bergen County, and you may or may not have experienced this, like they're the newer jails, so they're like pods. They look like that HBO series Oz, sort of. So that was encouraging that it wasn't as dismal as I've seen in other elements. So I was like, oh, okay, fine. And like all walks of life, like the guy who just didn't pay his child support, fucking a real murderer, a real fucking armed robber, unlike me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like real shit in all different walks. So I'm like trying to calm myself by seeing that juxtaposition and being like, oh, okay. And then I start listening to the conversations and I'm like, oh, everyone's just asking each other what they're in for. Then they get to me. armed robbery. Oh shit, you for armed robbery. Now all of a sudden I get respect. I'm like, great, I'll ride this. All right, I'll ride the respect card for the armed robbery. So I end up spending the night, wake up the next morning at 5 a.m. for breakfast, all new. But now that things are weighing on me, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? Everyone's using the phones. Everyone waiting to call their lawyers. I don't have a lawyer. My father told me, if you ever go to jail, stay there. So I just thought, I'm going to stay there. I don't know what I'm facing now either. I have no idea the severity of my charges. I have my charges in my hand, folded up, but I don't know how serious they are. So then that morning at breakfast, I don't say anything. That day at lunch, one of the guys like, yo, would you get locked up for again? Armed robberies? I was like, yeah. He goes, you know that carries 25 years, right? I was like, what? What? So now I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm like, all right, well, the only person I trust to call is my cousin. So that night, I wait and I call my cousin. And he's like, where have you been? We've been worried sick. I was like, obviously, Bergen County Jail, you just accepted the charges. He was like, I know, but I'm just, your father's worried. He'll come bail you out. What's your bail? I'm like, $50,000. He's like, what? What the fuck did you do? Now, I guess he'd been in jail quite a bit, and his bail was probably like $250, $500, $1,000. I just dropped $50,000 bail on him, and he was like freaking out. So now I know between my lunch conversation and my cousin's reaction, oh, fuck, I'm fucked. Like, I am beyond fucked. And I'm just sitting here stunned now. Now everything, the gravity of the situation's coming on me, and I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. So I'm sitting in the county jail. He's like, all right, I'm going to get in touch with your father. Call me at lunchtime. I'll get him to be here at the hub tomorrow. We'll talk. Okay, great. So sure enough, I do. And I'll never forget my poor father. When he gets on the phone, he goes, how much is your bill again? I said, $50,000. Like, he thought Mark misheard it. And I was like, and he goes, my God, son, what did you do? And that voice, that fucking phrase has sat with me my entire life because of the disappointment and the pain I caused him, that I realized finally what I was causing my family. And it hurts so fucking much to hear that. And he's like, all right, I can't afford that, but I'm going to talk to an attorney and we'll see what we can do and we'll go from there. Call me at dinner time at home, okay? Dinner time, call him at home. Spoke to the attorney. There's something called a bail reduction hearing. He's going to get you on the docket this week. You just stay tight, okay? You just stay tight. I'm going to go sell your car, okay? My father's a used car dealer, so that was an easy sell. And I'm just sitting there, just minding my business, watching fucking Jerry Springer, watching fucking Cops, watching people play dominoes, watching people do, salah, fucking, praying and doing this and doing that. And I'm just like, I had watched Oz, but I didn't really watch Oz the way you watch Sopranos or other thing. I was like in passing. This, I was like, what the fuck? This is new. This is not life to me. This is horrible. Depression sets in. Mind frame sets in. I'm not going to live my life like this. I refuse to live my life like this. I am going to change my life. I am going to change everything. Now I'm doing this day 2, facing 25 years. Fast forward to day 6, they get my bail reduction hearing. The judge drops it from 50 to 25 based on the fact of my age, my family roots. I have no money. They don't think I'm a flight risk, so on and so forth. So I get out the following night. So I spend 7 days in the county jail. And my father picks me up one night after the 7th day, or 8th, going in the 8th day, whatever it was. And we talk. Obviously, he's angry, but now he's more concerned as a father, as a parent, what's going to happen. So he's like, look, I had to tell your mother. She's devastated. She wants to see you. She wants you to call her tomorrow. And we're going to use whatever we have to do to get you an attorney and fight this. And we have your college fund that you never used. So that's going to be what we start with. And I was like, okay, thank you. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I was just like repentant. I was sad. I was disappointed. And the next day, I met my mother for lunch in Hackensack. And my father got me a beater car, like a piece of shit off the lot. And I took that to meet her. She worked in Hackensack at the time. I picked her up and we went to lunch. And I had to explain to her what I'd done, how bad I'd gotten, where my current mind frame was, all the mistakes I made, and kind of like, apologized and just really said, Mom, I'm sorry I've disappointed you. I'm sorry I've ruined my life. I know this was never what you wanted. And she said, okay, thank you, but that's not for now. For now is, how do we move forward? She goes, I've been researching criminal attorneys, blah, blah, blah. I'll get a second job. I'll do anything for you not to have to go to prison. I will pay anything. I was like, Mom, I wish it were that easy. I don't know. It's very serious. She's like, okay, let's pick a time next week to sit and meet the final 2 attorneys in person. You go research. We'll compare notes. So for the next week, that's what we did. So after a lot of research and a lot of stress, we decided on 2 attorneys. One was a gentleman named Galantucci, who his claim to fame was getting the state trooper who shot the kids in the van on the highway off and getting him like a next to nothing deal as a murderer. So that was his claim to fame. I walk in his office and it's all cop shit. And I'm like, I don't know if I trust this fucking guy. Like, he's defending cops. He's everywhere I look, it's cops, cops, cops. And I'm like, and he's a big, strong, burly man, big handshake. And all he was talking about was plea, plea, plea. And I was like, I'm not fucking taking a plea. I had a mask and gloves and there's no gun. I'm not fucking taking a plea. No way. What evidence do they have? And again, I have no idea other than the cell phone pings, what evidence they actually have. And he's like, I'll get discovery. We'll work through it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay. He was like, what's your retainer? He's like, $25,000. And if we go to trial, 100, 150. Fuck. I'm like, wish I would have saved more of that drug money in my head. Mom and I leave. What do you think? I don't know. I don't like the way he's talking about plea. Like, let's meet the other guy. The second guy, Brian Neary. So Brian Neary's claim to fame is he got Biggie Smalls off gun charges and he got DMX off something else. So I was like, this is my kind of guy. This is my people. Like, I want this, right? Let's go. As soon as I get there, I love him. NYU graduate. His wife's an actress on a soap opera. I'm like, I'm in awe. I'm in the office of what I want my life to be 20 years from now, right? Some sort of level of success and beautiful wife and family. I'm like, this is the guy. But then I look at him. He's got a bow tie on and glasses. And I said, ooh, interesting. The other guy was sharp. He looked like a mobster's attorney. This guy was like, there's something interesting about this guy. Then he speaks. And he's like, you had on mask, right? I was like, yeah. All of you? Yeah. Gloves? Yeah. Where'd they go? Gone. Where? Dumpster in New York someplace. Interesting. Where's the gun? Gone. Will it ever come back? Nope. Interesting. You look like a Backstreet Boy. I said, I've heard that before. At that time, I'm really like nose shaven, like little, like I kind of did. And I go, yeah. He goes, I just don't see a jury with a guy looks like you believing that you went and held 7 people at gunpoint in an armed robbery. I just don't see it. So I think we go to trial. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. How are your grades in school? I was like, great. I was like dean's list my first year in college, but I just kind of dropped out. Never really went back. He's like, go back. Juries don't like kids who got nothing going for them, but they like people who have things going for them. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So we leave and my mom's like, I like him. I was like, I love him. And his retainer was the same. His quote was the same. So the next day, my mother wrote out the $25,000 check and looked at me and said, I told you should have went to the University of Delaware. Now you're spending this on your freedom, potential freedom. I'm sorry. And I was like, well, I'm sorry. A whole bunch of sorries at this point. So fast forward, I went back to school. I stayed living at my grandmother's. I got a job at Houlihan's. The same Houlihan's I got arrested at. I became a waiter and learned how to be a waiter and make some money. So I did that at night. And then I went to Jersey City University during the day.
How long did that go on for?
So this was my entirety of my bail here. So the entirety of the negotiations. So basically, once he was retained, he was like, you're facing 25 years. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's what I heard. So the first plea offer was 20 years. Hearing that was fucking disturbing. And I was like, no. He's like, no, of course not. No. I told him no. Just keep going to school. The first plea offer came within the first 2 weeks, by the way. They just want it wrapped up.
And how old are you when you got arrested?
20.
20, okay.
So now I'm like, all right, fuck. So I'm working every night. I'm burning the midnight oil. I'm doing good in school. The months start going by the calendar. The pleas start going off. We're about 2 months in, and the pleas went from 20 years down to 12. We're making progress, but not much. I'm not taking a fucking 12-year plea. Okay? So at that time, I was in geology class. I don't know, class I had to take. And the professor goes, Mr. Marshall, can you please stay after class? I'm like, oh, fuck, what did I do? I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm a good student now. I'm like raising my hand. He's like, hey, everyone leaves. He's like, it's almost like secretive. He's like, do you want to be a geologist? And I was like, no, I don't want to be a geologist. I don't even know what the fuck this is. Tectonic plates and shit. Like, he goes, no, I worked at Exxon. Look at the car I have. Look at the life I have. Look at the house. And he's like trying to sell me on being a geologist, basically saying like, there's a lot of money in being a geologist. You could work for big oil. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like laughing. I'm like, I'm going to prison, dude. I was like, I don't know for how long, but I'm going to prison. So chances are I'm not thinking about my future right now. And he goes, well, what do you want to do? I was like, well, I want to be a director. I want to make films. He goes, oh, we got a great program here for that. I said, yeah, but if I do it, I want to do the best. He goes, well, what's the best? I go, arguably USC and NYU, but NYU. And he goes, really? I'll write your recommendation. Now I'm even further laughing in my head. I actually laughed out loud. I was like, oh, that's so nice of you, professor. Yeah, I don't think it's for me. I don't know. I just think my life right now, I think I have a little bit I have other things to concentrate on. And again, I'm hiding it. No one knows this shit. I'm just a regular college student. So he's like, just think about it for me. Think about it. So that night I go home and I can't stop thinking about it. So I go on my computer and I go into NYU and I look at everything. And one of the things is personal essay. I'm like, oh, all right. I take a camcorder, ask my cousin to act, ask someone at the old editing company to edit, make my 2.5 minute short film or 4 minute short film, whatever it was. Then I write the essay about my life and leave out the prison and the drug deal, but all the other stuff, right? The hard time, the bullet, and I just sweeten it up enough that someone's going to feel bad enough for me, but not think I'm a total scumbag because I'm out robbing people. And I leave all the real, true criminality out. Toss the fucking application in. Holidays come and go. It's a sad Christmas to think it may be my last. Shit like that starts getting to you, right? You felt it. Like when you know, chances are you're gone. It's like, it's hurtful. You just start to appreciate things more. So now the pleas are down 8 years. Now we're down to 6. Still not taking it. I get home from school sometime in the late spring, about the end of the semester. And I'm dropping mail off to my grandmother, my aunt, and then and I see the fucking blue insignia. I'm like, huh, it's thin. I'm like, I didn't get in. That's what they say, right? It's thin, you didn't get in. I was like, cool. So I go upstairs, sit down on the couch. My cousin's not there. And I have a moment. I'm holding this thing in my hand. And I'm like, this is interesting. Fuck it, Nick, just open it. So I open it, start reading. I get in. I read it again, start crying. Read it again, I'm crying. This is the only accomplishment I've ever had in my fucking life. It is a program that mostly does not accept transfers, number one, which I was. Number two, it accepts 32 people a semester. And it is the most prestigious film program in the country, if not the world. And I'm crying because I know that I finally accomplished something, but that I probably won't get to do it. I call my mother, tears. My father, he didn't cry, but you could tell, did not feel happy for me. 2 hours after that, and I shit you not, I do not joke about this. I don't joke about anything I've said, but this specifically. 2 fucking hours later, Neary calls me. And I go, I got it at NYU. And he goes, Nick, that's amazing. Congratulations. Are you sitting down? I need you to sit down. And I was like, I knew just when he took a deep breath that he's like, your co-defendants just took a plea for 3 years with 85%. We have no legs to stand on if you go to trial. And I just like, everything stopped. Like everything I've ever thought about, got angry about, got happy about, it was like a flat line of life. Like it was like I was dead. I was floating above myself. And when I finally got the courage to speak, I was like, okay, so I can be out in 9 months. He goes, well, no. They're offering you 4 years because you orchestrated it. I'm fighting it, and I think we're going to get it down to 3 because you all did it together. But they're also sentencing you with a very strange sentence. They're doing a 1-year mandatory stip in addition to the No Early Release Act, which is 85% of your sentence. And then you have parole on top. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So now my ego comes out again. Like, whoa, I'm doing the math. I'm like, that's 6 years. He's like, no. Well, I mean, technically, it could be construed as 6 years, but there's double jeopardy involved. So, like, if you do max out on your 3, doing the 85%, which is essentially a max out, do they have the right to give you parole? The law's too new. You'd be the second person ever sentenced on it. I'm like, great. So I'm the fucking test dummy. So I was like, all right. Okay, what am I going to say? Take the fucking plea, but don't take 4, take 3. So he goes, all right, I'll work on it. That next month, while he worked on it, because now I'm in the limbo of, I don't have a sentencing date. I know I'm going away for at least 3 years, if not more, than everyone else. And now all the things that I've been doing positive, there's no fucking point. Now the only point is make enough money to keep stashing away. So when I get out, I have some kind of money saved. So that's what I do. I go work at bars. I change jobs. I go in the city. I lie on my resume. I pretend to be a bartender. I get a job. I start working in a gay neighborhood. The gays love me. It was fucking great. They're tipping me like crazy. I'm the man in Chelsea, the cute guy who looks like Sean Penn in his younger years. It's great, right? No one knows. No one knows I'm going to prison. And all this is happening. And then one day, in walks these 2 suits. And I slightly recognized the guy, and he slightly recognized me. And I'm like, he goes, Nick Marshall? I go, such and such? Don't want to name his name because he's a good, successful man. But he comes up in my book. He's like, oh my God. He is, before I was in trouble and I was a little youth with 1 or 2 friends in baseball, before all the real bullying and everything else, he's the older brother of that kid. So he used to babysit me. We used to play video games together. And I decided to just drop it all on the bar and tell him what I'm going through. And he goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He goes, when are you going? I was like, I don't know, soon. I'm kind of waiting. He's like, I'm a money manager. I'll manage your money while you're gone. You'll earn interest. You'll make something in the market. I'll worry about it and I'll deal with your mother. I can offer that support for you. Like, I feel horrible. Like, this is a horrible story. I was like, yeah, that's great. So he gives me his number. And now I have a goal. I'm like, all right, well, I think it was like $3,500 saved at that point. So I'm like, I'm going to get, if I keep working this many days, maybe I could have $6,000 or $8,000, $10,000 to get me through years from now when I'm off, and I'll be 24 with $10,000. Like, I'm trying to think like that. And I get his information. I start on this goal, and then I get a call from Neary weeks later, and he's like, I got you the 3 pending the judge's approval. He's like, the prosecutor will not agree to it. It's going to be on the judge in the courtroom, but I think we have a case. It's like, okay, print it. He goes, all right, your sentencing date is September 22nd. I was like, dude, you know this. When they give you that fucking date, there is nothing so real in life as the date they tell you you're going to fucking die to the outside world. They're literally telling you when you're done. When everything tangible, any conversations you have, any normalcy you have, your bed, your clothes, everything, your freedom is going to be gone. And you are subsequently dead to the world. Because really no one cares when you're in there. Their lives go on. They may care They may write you a letter. They may take a phone call. But they're not in your shoes. They don't experience what it's like to be there, and the loneliness and the depravity and the violence and everything else that we'll get to in the next few minutes. They don't get that. So then I got suicidal. I started getting fucking hammered at work and driving home drunk. Twice I hit the Holland side of the Holland Tunnel. Neither time was I arrested. One time I woke up, my car was on 3 wheels, parked outside my apartment. I tried. I tried to do it like a pussy, though. Like, well, if it happens. Not only was that irresponsible, because God forbid I'd taken someone else's life or my own, it was the lowest depths of depression. And I don't know if you got there, and I don't know if everyone gets there, but I got there. And I didn't snap out of it. I was going through the motions. So much so that I remember I had a crush on this girl. I was dating her, really cared about her, and I'd known her since I was 16. And she had gone to NYU, and I remember she knew I was going, and some kid that she grew up with in Newark had went that she was friends with, so she knew what it was all about. He had been there for 3 years already. So she had like feelings towards it, empathy towards it. And then she went, well, if it's your last night, I'll see you on your last night. And I was like, yeah, really? You'll see me on last night? I was like, great. So I went for like some, now my whole 2 days, 3 days before that last night was admitting to all my regulars where I was going. You'd be, the amount of overwhelming support that these bar regulars gave me. They took my full name, what prison I was going to, where about, how to reach me, blah blah. They ultimately, a lot of them sent me letters that I still have today, which is just to go and show how kind most people are. They would just want to support. I was a bartender. I was just a guy who made them drinks and gave them a plate of sushi. That's it. But they saw something in me. They felt a way about me, and they gave me that love and respect to be that kind. And I got so hammered having drinks with a few of them and random people that night. And the phone, I just kept calling the girl, and she just kept putting it to the voicemail. And I remember my phone died. I was drunk. I got to a payphone outside her dorm room, hammered, called her, and she put it to voicemail. I remember leaving like the most sad, depressing message. Like, I'm losing my life tomorrow. I thought you were going to be there for me. And, getting back in my car, drunk, crying hysterically, wiping tears, trying to get back to my grandmother's house in Kearney. And I did. And I woke up the next morning to my cousin and my father standing over my bed. You're still fucking sleeping? Get the fuck up. Your sentencing is like 30 minutes. And I'm like, what? Oh. So I'm hammered. Like, I'm still drunk. My father's like, do you have to do that? I was like, Dad, really? Like that's what you care about now? Like, that is the least of my worries. What is the judge going to say? Give you more time for being drunk and late to your sentencing? No. So it's not the way it works. So I was fucking hammered, get dressed, take a shower, put on my silly clothes, hug my cousin, walk down the steps, and I describe it in my book. Like, walking down those steps brought back my entire childhood that I had forgotten because of all the things that had happened. The good childhood, the Christmases, the care, the family, the love, the learning, the growing up. And all that stuff was just this memory as I walked down these stairs onto the pavement to get in my dad's car. And then when we got in the car, my dad got drafted into Vietnam. And he never talked about it because of what he experienced. But he won the Gold Star for bravery. And I didn't even know this till his now wife pulled it up 8 years ago, to put this in perspective. But at this time, we're driving to the courthouse in Hackensack. And it's like a 20-minute drive. I'm hungover. I want to vomit. I'm scared. I'm confused. And he's stoic, but he's nervous. His son, his eldest son, he's losing his son to prison, which he never thought. Getting out, because He is a self-made guy to get out of the shit that he grew up in to bring us to a leafy suburb. So it's probably like his biggest nightmare. And I'm sitting there and they finally just like, listen, when I got drafted in Vietnam, I was scared. And I knew many people who didn't come home prior to me going. And I knew the risks. And they looked at me and was like, son, you're not going to die. And I was like, all right, thanks. But it was like, now I'm joking about it in the laughter because you're laughing too. But it was like so fucking dead serious. He was like, you're not going to die. You may get beat up. You may get hurt. But you're not going to die. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. And then when we got to the courtroom, I vomited on the side of the steps in the bushes. You can imagine how that played when all these lawyers and other people are going up and I'm fucking vomiting on the side. Anyway, with that out of my system, I go through security. And as I get through security, I'll never forget my poor mother standing there like the angelic cherub that she is. She's a lovely woman. She's so nice. And she's sitting there like crying, tissues in her hand. And I walk up and I hug her. And I said, Mom, listen. And I looked at her and I knew I had to be strong for her. I said, Mom, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be more than fine. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to make something of myself. And I gave her that same talk in a different manner than my father did to be the man for her as her eldest son. And I said, this is the last time I'm going to be able to hug you for a while. So let's make it count. And I gave her a big hug. I said, now sit in the back of the courtroom because I don't want you up front. And her and my father sat separately in the back of the courtroom while I was sentenced. And it happened very quickly. And then I was the last one because they were trying to give me 4 years. And then my lawyer eloquently argued on my behalf. And the judge let the prosecutor spew his bullshit and of why I was the mastermind, which is true. But like, fuck you. We're all kids. I'm a 20-year-old kid, bro. Like, I'm not a fucking criminal mastermind. If I was, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. Like, not here, in that courtroom. I would have been scot-free. And the judge was like, look, aggravating factors outweigh mitigating factors, 4-1, but you all fucking did it, right? You all went in there. You all had this. You're all going to prison for the same time. And the prosecutor starts to go out. He's like, no. The judge is great. I was like, this is fucking awesome, judge. And then that's when they hit the gavel. And you remember that. That's like, if you think all the other stuff that we've talked about is like a big deal, audience, that one, when you hear the gavel go and the bailiff comes over to remand you, then you're like, because you're not cuffed at this point. And now you get cuffed in front of the whole courtroom. So what I did was I could hear people crying in the back. My mother, one of them. And I turned around and I smiled. And I mouthed the words, I'm going to be all right. And when they walked us into that room in that holding pen, it was like, I'm here to do this fucking time, not to let the time do me. I'm going to fucking make something out of myself. And guess what I'm going to use as my North Star? NYU. Because not many people who dream of being a filmmaker ever even have the opportunity to apply there, nevertheless get in. And even though they wouldn't fucking defer me, I want my honorary degree one day. It was my hope. And it was what made me say, I am going to keep my fucking head down. I'm not going to get involved in drugs. I'm not going to get involved in violence. I'm going to do my fucking time the right way. I'm going to read. I'm going to teach myself how to write. And I'm going to give myself a degree in world literature. That was my goal. Read every fucking thing I can get my hands on. And that was the beginning.
Did the people that you guys robbed, did they report it to the cops? Is that how they got on your trail? Mm-hmm. It's always so interesting hearing these robbery stories when like one criminal robs another criminal and they end up calling the police.
Yeah, well, it's crazy because you would think, in my stupid fucking head, I always thought, I'm a crook, you're a crook. Let's handle this on the street. Yeah. What are you going to do? You going to come at me? All right, great. I got guns. I got knives. I got brass knuckles. I got baseball bats. Let's fucking go. But that's not the way it is most of the time or some of the time. And also, we were kids, and it was his parents' house, and it was like, there's a lot of other things. I'm not blaming. Look, I made a mistake. I want to be very fucking crystal clear. I shouldn't have done what I did. But I did think because he was a drug dealer, I wasn't committing a crime. I genuinely thought that. I just thought there's some street shit. Work it out. I didn't know armed robbery was what I was doing. I didn't realize 25 years was the number I was looking at. Do you know in the state of New Jersey, armed robbery carries more than fucking rape? And to me, rape is the most disgusting fucking thing you can do.
That's most
Murder
states.
is justified. A lot. I'm sorry. You could justify murder. If you raped my daughter, I'd fucking kill you.
I see in Connecticut, like I read the News Times of all these cases where these sex offenders get less time than I got in prison.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And you're like, who fucking made this law up? Like, isn't there a caveat? Like, I robbed another drug dealer of his drugs. I didn't take the diamonds and pearls that were upstairs or the watches or any of this shit that his parents owned. I took his drugs and cash only. That's it.
It's the states that have the problem because I think the federal guidelines and sentencing are dialed in on sex offenders, but it's the states that are where the issues is.
Yes.
Because in the feds, they're not sentencing someone to 2 years. There's mandatory minimums. In Connecticut, though,
Yes.
I see sex offenders getting 2 years. And,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It is crazy.
I see that all the time.
And it's like, when you look at the way this justice system is written, obviously it so adversely affects poor and disenfranchised individuals and African American and Latino youths specifically, and overall of all ages. But like, to me, it's like some of it's just not common sense. Some of it's so outlandish. And to get into now the story of prison is I started in Bergen County Jail. My father made some phone calls, found someone who knew someone who was a CO, and they got me a job in the maintenance department. So I spent about a month on the tier. I watched, so this is a fucked up story. So you would know this too. So you know how every day after dinner, someone else has to clean up, mop the floor or whatnot, put the shit away and help the trays and push it back because the kitchen workers just drop them off, right? So my co-defendant was this dude, mad cool and like very like tough. He was roommates with arguably the craziest fucking lunatic any of us have ever come across. He must have been like 260 jacked, looked like just animalistic, right? Everyone was scared of him. He worked in the kitchen. He spoke to no one except for my boy who was his roommate, my co-defendant. And they had this weird like symbiotic relationship, almost like a great white shark and the thing that swims beside it. And we're getting, mind you, this was like a very, very tough, crazy looking individual. Everyone stayed away from him. And we had one drag queen on the tier. I'm sorry, I'm not being politically correct. Now that term is not allowed, a transsexual individual. And he was very flamboyant, or she, whatever transition he was at, was very flamboyant. And a lot of people on the tier didn't like that, right? Some did because they let him suck his dick or, get jerked off or do whatever sexual fucking favors they had going in their time. That's on them. That's cool. Whatever people want to do. But overall, he was like the fake tough, like sassy. Well, let's just say this poor gentleman was elected to clean up after dinner one day. And I think I told this on Kevin's too, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating the same story, but he started mopping and everyone's like pretty much done except the kitchen guy. He's eating and this mop, and this guy's eating slow. And you know the rules when you're eating in prison. This dude's just like, and now mind you, everyone's seeing this because now the whole tier has come out on the tier to watch what's about, because that's the other thing. When something's about to pop off, you feel it. Everyone knows, like it's like sirens go up. Everyone knows some shit's about to happen. They don't know what, but in this case, we all knew what. This guy touches his foot with the mop. stare off. Goes back to have another bite. The other dude touches again in that manner. I've never seen someone. He popped up like fucking Superman. Like it was out of a Marvel movie. He popped up, grabbed the fucking guy, literally fucking tossed him across the thing, then chased onto him, took him, and started taking his head and smashing it until he cracked his head open so much that the blood started pouring out, and like chunks of what, after he got relieved, must have been a little piece of his, like, I don't want to say brain, but something back there was still left on the floor, like yellowish, not red. It was horrifying to watch. It happened so quick. And he just did it. And everyone's like, oh, there wasn't cheering. There was a collective gasp and awe from everyone. And then when he came out of his blackout and he looks up, he's looking up like this, and he looks around and he goes to the mop. He grabs the mop and he twists it in his hand like this, and he takes it out like a spear, like a Donatello from fucking the Ninja Turtles. And he's like this, and he's like this. And now the cops, all the COs are like, all right, now we should go in. Maybe we should call the ambulance. They don't do shit. So, but now they're getting off their ass because now they're like, holy shit, we got one guy's bleeding out on the fucking pavement, and we get this other lunatic with a stick now, a weapon in the tier. So they start hitting all the alarms. And only thing you could hear is my boy D go, yo, whatever his name was, and he goes, drops the stick, and he runs into his cell. As soon as that happened, whoo, cops locked down, boom, boom, infirmary came, everything. That was probably the most violent thing I saw and witnessed firsthand in prison, and ironically, it was in the county.
Yeah, they do say county jails are the worst for violence.
It can be. Because you just have too many different walks of life in the same thing. And in the county, you either don't work or you work. And we were in a workers' pod, which was, supposed to keep us busy so we didn't just fight all day. But in this particular instance, you understand why. But that was some scary shit. And, I worked maintenance. So luckily I was out of the pod, 9-10 hours a day. I was drinking Dunkin' Donuts, having a bagel or donut with the cops, sometimes a bagel. On Christmas and holidays, they brought in Italian subs from like a local, because I was one of 4 people, 3 white guys and 1 black guy. And we were all trusted. So I used to clean the jail all around, along with paint things, unclog toilets, do everything. Now, 85% of the time I had a CO with me. Out of the 85, he looked the other way 50, right? So then what happened, I kind of broke my rule. I started to get in with this cool kid. So I like to watch TV at night. And there was only 2 TVs on the tier. And the way this tier worked was in one corner, the TVs are in the corner, top, corner, bottom. And we used to have plastic bins. I don't know if it was yours guys, but we had plastic bins, right? Where we put our shit in. Notebooks, letters, and clothes, like whatever. Underwear, socks, shit like that. So we used to drag the bins out and sit on the bins to watch TV because it was comfortable. Only in order to do that, to get closer to TV, this junta, which he wasn't really a junta because he wasn't a gang member, he was a white dude, but he ran shit because he was obviously selling drugs to someone, doing some shit on the side. He had the whole corner of the tier. So in order to watch TV, like I was sitting there trying to watch Martin at night, and I was like way on the other side, and like I'm like, how do I get in there? Like I got to get to know this guy. So sure enough, I kind of inched my way into getting to know him. Blessing and a curse. So he took a liking to me. So suddenly I started he got weed one day. I smoked weed with him one day. I was like, oh my God, this is great. But then I was like, no, you're misbehaving, Nick. No, you got to do your bid. You told yourself you're going to be smart, not stupid. But I was feeling being cool again, or fitting in, or having some juice. So my ego got involved. So now I'm like chilling, hanging out with him. And one day he's like, yo, come here. Come to my cell. I was like, sure. He's like, yo, you think you get on the cleaning route tomorrow? I was like, I don't know. It's like 50-50. Like sometimes he's like, no. I'm asking, You think you can get on tomorrow? I was like, I could try. He's like, try hard. And I was like, what's up? He's like, here's the way it's going to work. He's like, my girl puts the drugs in the drop ceiling, blah, blah, blah. Starts giving me the whole thing. And I'm like, everything starts clicking. I'm like, well, that's how he has weed. That's why this guy's making this move. They used to have like fish hooks between I say fish hooks. It was like newspapers tied together that would push the drugs underneath the door between the two pods. So there was all these like tricks on how to move drugs, right? So here I am, and I'm like, I'm telling myself I'm not going to do it. But instead, I fucking do it. I get on that cleaning crew. I go in. Officer goes that way. I go this way. Boom, boom. I jump up, grab the drugs. Sure enough, they were there. Whap them in a pack. Boom, 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 boom. Get out. Cop's like, oh, you done? I was like, yeah, all clean here. And he's like, all right, you guys got to get searched. And I was like, cool. He's like, just drop the Zamboni across the thing. So instead of getting searched, I took drugs and stuffed them in the Zamboni because there was a blind spot in the camera. Now, mind you, I had done this before, so I learned it from other people. It wasn't like I was just like going off. I'm just trying to shorten the story because we've already been here for a minute. And so then I basically smuggled fucking drugs into the county jail for this dude so I could watch TV close to his cell. But that was the only real crime I committed in prison.
I feel like because you had that entrepreneurial sense, most people that go to prison for drugs or any type of business related have that business mindset, and they find themselves doing something like that in prison. Like I was entrepreneurial before prison, so I got myself involved in shit I did not need to get involved in prison. Like I would be the runner, so I left the camp to smuggle back bags for $200. I did not need $200, and I would have got an extra 5 years in prison if I got caught.
Wow.
Off the grounds. If you get caught on the grounds, it's just an out of bounds. But if I actually left, but for $200,
yeah,
and a couple foods, just because I wanted to hustle. I was gambling, I was playing dice, I was doing.
What's
all
the
these
rush?
Things. That's what
right?
it is.
You get this rush, and you're like I said, ego.
I had 3 months left on my sentence, and I'm running through the woods to get bags.
Wow.
Most ridiculous thing ever. So, did you achieve your goal of bettering yourself while you were in prison for those years?
Yes, it was a struggle. When I got to state prison, it became a real big struggle because of the segregation. So I'm not prejudiced. I don't believe in that shit. I'm not trying to join the Aryan fucking nation. And there was 7 white dudes that sat together. First day I saw it, and I sat at a different table, away from other people, closer to some Spanish kids. And it was definitely very racially segregated. And then it goes into gang affiliation. And I remember they came up to me like, why are you sitting over there? I was like, no reason. I just like to be by myself. I'm just here to do my bid. So that set me off with a bad taste for them. And then one of the bunkmates that I was close to was a Latin king who I found out I sold drugs to his people up on Mount Prospect in Newark. So he had an affinity for me. So he introduced me to one of the juntas of the Nietas. So then I started hanging out with the Nietas. And Nietas essentially became my protectors because there was a blood that wanted to get me that, yeah, it was like serious. Like this motherfucker hated me. Like it was, if I didn't have protection, I would be fucked up. He probably would have stabbed me too. Just because I know that's how he got down. It wasn't his first bid. He was nuts. And like, you could just tell like he was very, very, very deep rooted in his gang shit and his lifestyle. And he did not like me. And the Nietas kind of put a block on that by saying, yo, you hit him, we're going to hit you. And the Nietas outnumbered everyone because there's just so many of them. They used to make the joke, like every time it was a fight, it's like the fucking another Spanish dude popping out of the woodwork, right? Because you didn't know who a Nieta is. Like you knew who the kings were, you knew who the Bloods were, you knew the God bodies, you knew the white supremacy and neo-Nazi gangs, but you didn't know the Nietas because they rolled different. They were just like all of a sudden they pop up. There were more of them. So they protected me, which allowed me to keep my head down and stay away from trouble because I didn't get involved in it. I was just friends with them. I sat with them. I ate with them. I watched TV with them. When I was out on a yard job, I hung out with them. So, that was one way I kept my head down, and the rest was just schedule and routine. So, like when I woke up at 6 a.m, after breakfast, if I had an hour before work, I read for an hour. When I went to work all day, came back, I wrote for 2 hours. I read for 3 hours. I went to bed. Repeat. I didn't watch nearly as much TV as I did in the county jail. Because I was like, first of all, what's on TV? Jerry Springer? I don't need to watch Jerry Springer. I'm sorry. This is not educationally healthy for me. And I just felt I was wasting my mind away. And I also was very, very savvy in getting good jobs. I got at one time, by the time I got to a camp, I was the weight coordinator. And what that meant was I opened the weight room, took out some weights, and waited 2 hours and worked out while I was doing it with everyone else and then put the weights back. That was my job. So I never had to leave the tier. So I read, at that point, I was reading like 6 to 8 hours a day. Then I would write for 2 hours a day. I would go for runs around the baseball diamond or the softball diamond or whatever it was. And just basically, I had a lot of fresh air at that point and a lot of mental clarity. And then eventually I went to a halfway house.
How much time did you end up doing?
2 years, 6 months, and 20 days.
So they really hit you with that 85%?
Yeah, they hit me with the full 85.
And your co-defendants did 85?
Yeah,
okay.
All of them, yeah.
Do you talk to any of them to this day?
I talked to 2.
What happened to them? Did they become successful?
One who I don't speak to has had a wonderful, successful life. He cleaned himself up, and I'm very pleased and happy for him. I do not speak to him. I never have. But those old wounds to me are old wounds, and I only wish people the best. The other 2, one is an amazing right now. He is a breathwork coach that just started in his sessions, in his teachings, started speaking about his experience in prison because he went to Bordentown. And Bordentown was recently shuttered because it makes Rikers look like a playground. And I don't want to say that, but Rikers bad. But Bordentown was called Gladiator School because every single day you fought for your life. There was not a day in Bordentown where there wasn't a fight or stabbing. Period, full stop. There was 4 tiers, A wing, B wing, C wing, D wing, and it was all the gang members. So it was like, if you look at like Northern State in New Jersey where they put all the gang leaders and members, that's a 23-hour lockdown. Imagine that with no lockdown. That's Bordentown for kids, 19 to 28. So that was another thing maybe different than you. The top line age in the prisons I went to based on my age in sentencing was 28 years old. So rape wasn't as prevalent as it would be had I gone to Rodway. Then I may be speaking a whole different tune. Real talk. I may be crying about my, experiences there versus laughing at them or, trying to talk whimsically about them versus some serious stuff.
Do you think that your parents didn't give you enough attention as a child?
Well, they probably gave me too much attention. I think that I'm very good at hiding things and compartmentalizing, and I think that I was able to hide quite a bit from them.
Do you think that the divorce had a big effect on you? Or was it too late?
No, I think it was too late at that point. But the effect it did have was I went from I don't give a fuck to I don't give a fuck. 2 very different mindsets, right? So like when you start saying you don't give a fuck and truly mean it and activate, like their nickname for me, my crew was Ruthless because I was fucking ruthless. You owed me money? I'm getting my motherfucking money one way or another. That's it. Like there's no like, oh, I feel bad. Nope. You wrong me, you get wronged. That's it. And I was a very, very different person than I am now. That took a lot of time to get over.
Tell us about the success that you were able to achieve after all of this, because this is, this wraps up when you're 23, 24.
Yeah,
it's put behind you. How old are you now?
I'm 46.
You're 46?
Yeah.
You look good for 46.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah. People in the comments always rip me when I tell people they look good for their age, but I mean, it's true.
No. Listen, I appreciate it. I'm thankful for it. I do a lot of yoga. Okay. I work out a lot. What I did, and I wrote everything I'm about to say now in Cliff Notes version is the book, right? I came out. I was forced to live in my father's basement with his new wife and kids. It was like entering a new family. Nothing but love and support, but new family. I had a parole officer, and my parole officer was like, you got to get a job. I was like, yeah, I got a job. He's like, okay, cool. What's your job? I was like, oh, I work in a moving company. but I'm not going to keep the job. He's like, whoa, what do you mean, Yucky? I was like, look, I want to be a director, but I don't have enough money to go back to school, so I'm going to be an actor, and I'll go to acting school during the day, and I'll work at bars and restaurants at night. He's like, whoa, where? I was like, in Manhattan. He's like, oh, you can't do that. So basically, my story is about the difficulty of working through the parole system while just trying to do good and just being a kid or a young adult and working because of all the stopgaps they have. I tell stories about getting a new parole officer and then being like, I was on quarterly, 4 times a year. They dropped me back down to weekly. No reason, because it was a new parole officer. And they have that power. They just fuck with you. The recidivism rate in this country, you may know this, is 66%. That means 66 out of 100 people go back to prison. That's a huge number. That's not a positive reinforcement of the prison system. That's a negative reinforcement. It should be the inverse. It should be 33% go back and 66 have a life upon doing their time. That's not the case. So I navigated that. I worked in restaurants. I waited tables. I bartended. I started bar managing. I was always, if my goal was this, if I'm going to spend 40 hours a week doing something, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Now, was that a detriment at times to my acting career? Yeah, because there was a point where all things were considered equal, and then my acting buddies started getting real work, and you probably know their names right now, and they're doing it for real. And me, I'm really not acting much anymore, but I am still writing. I am directing soon. And why? Because I got caught up in the high life of nightlife. I was at the top of, I was running up and down, and One Oak, which are arguably 2 of the greatest New York City nightclubs that may have ever been, right, within top 10, and celebrity havens, billionaires, schemers. Some of my clients are people you've read about who are like doing long prison stints now, or are living off their yacht in China because nobody can find them. But those were people I took their credit cards, got their numbers, said come to the club, went to their after parties at their hotels, went on their yachts or their private planes, and that was a lifestyle I was living, very removed from prison. But that to me was a very empty and vapid lifestyle, and it was really just so I would be able to support my acting habit and eventually be able to be a full-time artist. So that's the success. I mean, the success right now is I'm not back in prison. I'm not a criminal. I have some things going for me. I just wrote a book. We're trying to sell the movie rights. I'm currently casting and fundraising for my first feature, which is different than this. It's called A Long Road, and it's basically based on my life about a convict reintegrating in society, but it's a shitty theme. He has to become a criminal again in order to ultimately free himself and his family. So I'm taking a piss on the system because of how difficult it is to really go straight.
That's funny because that's like the project I did where I had to go back, to prison.
Yeah, with Mr. Beast. Yeah,
to make it, all right.
Which is crazy, right?
It's funny how that, comes full circle.
It's very cool.
What do you think is the biggest lesson you want people to take away from your story?
Don't do what I did. Here, like the biggest lessons, I'll tell you. Don't do what I did. Don't let your ego create a monster. If you're being bullied, and now I can't imagine being cyberbullied, there has to be a better way to combat against it. Yes, you're hurt. You're saddened, but like figure out a way to direct that hurt and pain into something positive, not into something negative. Don't let other people make you worse, right? Or make you into something you're not. And then the biggest thing I've always said is just work your ass off. That's it. Listen, I've been fucking fired so many times. I have. But I've also quit more times than I've been fired out of principle of me saying, fuck you, I'm not doing this because I can get a job tomorrow doing the same thing in a better circumstance. But do not think you're owed anything because in life you're owed nothing. I don't care what walk of life. You're not owed anything. You need to work for it. And I think you and I talked about that earlier. It's like you're working for this. Like 5 years ago, had you been able to publish your book, it wouldn't have the same impact because you didn't have the same end result to talk full circle about what your messaging is. That's hard work. You did all this, right? No one made you do this. You did this. You took a bad experience and made it better for you and for others to be able to not commiserate, but like to understand what it's like to live in these shoes that society sticks their nose up to and turns their head to. And I think that's like for me a big takeaway. Like just and be kind. Be like nice to people. Don't get me wrong. I have a reputation for being a dick, but yeah, if you do a door in New York City, you're not supposed to be everyone's friend until they're inside. Once they're inside, I'm their best friend. But prior to that, they're not. So yeah, I have that.
What's one thing you wish you could tell your childhood self?
Don't do it. Everything's going to be all right. Don't do it. Stay away. Those cool people, they're not cool. That's the funny thing, right? When you think about like high school, especially now with like Facebook or something, right? The prom king and queen, the coolest people in high school, the blah, blah, blah. Are they the most successful people in life? 90%, I would say no.
I was just listening to that on a podcast. I forgot. I think it was Diary of a CEO where they were talking about this exact thing.
I'd rather go back and be the biggest nerd that was like picked on but not bullied. Because right now, I'd be sitting on my yacht, not doing anything that I'm doing, right? Why? Because it's the nerds, it's the scholastic people who are labeled a certain way in that environment who succeed in life for the most part because they work hard and they take what they're doing for what it is. This math problem, this essay, this project, this is all going to better me in the long run. And they don't get caught up in the nonsense usually. I mean, sometimes they do. Now you can't escape it.
Yeah, the people I envied in high school, the popular ones, you know, the people that I thought were above me, it didn't turn out the way you would expect based on how much you envied them. You know,
Yeah.
It doesn't correlate to each other.
No, it doesn't. I would say, you know, look, we all have dreams. Start your dreams early. Just start working early, right? If you're an athlete, you start when you start and you don't stop until the universe tells you, sorry, bro, no more. Whether that's your body gives out, whether that's you're just not talented enough, whether that's, you know, you got injured, something, right? Who knows? But that's the way I like to look at it, like from an athletic standpoint. Imagine we were scholastically athletic.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. You incredible guest. Couldn't have asked for a better guest.
Dude, that's so kind. I'm sorry I went so over.
No. You're good, man. The audience loves these interviews, you know?
Cool.
And you told your story so beautifully. And everyone, check out his book. We'll have the link in the description of this episode.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man.
Thanks.